So Dungeons and Dragons recently released a first look at the virtual tabletop that they've been working on. And I just want to say it looks really, really good. I'm excited for it. However, there are also things as a community that we should be talking about so that Wizards of the Coast knows that these are concerns that we have, and hopefully to some capacity they can be addressed. Hopefully they're already aware of these and have been aware of these potential problems for months and already either have solutions or have been working on it. And I just want to start by taking a look at what the tabletop actually looks like. And it looks quite good. The 3D is impressive, the light's impressive, the water's impressive. It all looks very nice with all the detail. The issue, though, is accessibility. Many of the people that I play with have very different levels of investment into technology. And if this isn't playable on a MacBook Pro from 2018, then I'm going to have a player who can't play because that's the nicest piece of technology that they have. And if I have one player that can't use this tabletop, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to stick to Roll20 because I don't have anyone who has any problem with Roll20. So that's the first concern, is making sure that this can run on as many devices as possible. I hope that when they've been working on it's been something they've had in mind. I know, looking at the posts they made on D&D Beyond, it said, you guys can't see the full thing. Let me zoom out a little bit for you. Yeah, they said that 3D and 2D maps will be usable. So hopefully the 2D maps should be less uh, power inducing on your machine. So people will be able to uh, still play with this to some capacity, which is actually answers, or not fully answers, but it does address another concern I have, which is the ease of use. When you look at like this character asset, that character asset, the trees, the rocks, it's all very uh, complicated, which means that, well, first of all, if I am putting an enemy into my game, is there going to be a way for me to just create a token like I do for Roll20? Like in Roll20, when I had to make students for Strixhaven, I just took their art from D&D Beyond, put it into a token maker, and there we go. There's all the students. With this, I don't see that being a real possibility unless we did something like the virtual equivalent of these things, where you place it down and it has a flat little token thing. Sorry, if people make content for this, if people make monsters and make different building structures or however it's going to work, if they're making enough for this that this is accessible to lots of different people and you can kind of get a lot out of it, then it'll be good. But the reality is that it's always going to be easier to make a map like this than it's going to be to make a map that looks like that. And that could be a problem because it's going to potentially limit what DMs are able to make in the tabletop space, because sometimes you're going to be in a situation where the players are, oh yeah, we go on this airship, and you just have to kind of crudely draw out an airship on the map and be like, okay, this is what it looks like. And unless you happen to own an airship asset, then that's just not going to really be functional. And finally, my final concern would be compatibility. Because I, on the monster manual in real life, I have it on a shelf around the corner. I also own the monster manual on D&D Beyond. I have to import tokens from D&D Beyond into Roll20 because, quite frankly, I am not going to spend my money buying the monster manual for a third time. As a community, we have to be aware that 3D assets are not cheap to make. They cost money to be made. And I feel like to some capacity, they're going to ask us that these assets, they're going to ask us to fork up a little bit of cash. However, if the cost isn't reasonable, no one's ever going to go for it. Because you could always just take a token maker and Roll20, and then you have everything you need to do. Obviously, from what we've seen, Wizards of the Coast is much more interested in trying to get more money out of TTRPGs, which to me is kind of scary because it's already an expensive hobby. We don't have to make it more expensive. But there is somewhere between not making enough for this to financially make sense and people just not using this because it's super expensive, because that also doesn't make financial sense to them. There's somewhere in the middle, which is an acceptable price that's somewhat affordable. I suspect that there will be some type of connection with D&D Beyond where you either pay a little bit more to get the asset when you buy a book, or if you already have the book, you get the asset for a little cheaper. But the issue is we don't really know too much about it yet. The playtest is in late 2023. Hopefully, at that point, we'll know more. But this first look, it looks good. It looks interesting. I'm excited for it. We just have to keep a little level of skepticism when looking at this, because this might not be for every game, which is kind of not great from Wizards of the Coast perspective, because this tabletop needs to convince everyone using other tabletops to come to it. And if we go to this tabletop, Jim can't play with us anymore because he can't run the tabletop, then they're just they have no reason to move over unless they really don't like Jim. So yeah, I would love to hear someone else's thoughts on this subject. Like I said, I am excited for this. It looks cool to actually be able to use virtual tabletop and have it connected to my monster stat blocks or my character's stat blocks without having to use Beyond 20 because I'm not buying the monster manual for a third time. Tell me what you think, and if you like the video, leave a like. If you want to see more, click that subscribe button. Thank you for watching.